The courtroom breathes uneasily. Sunlight cuts through suspended dust, turning the air golden yet heavy. A clerk clears his throat, the sound echoing longer than it should. She stands still, steady, eyes fixed ahead. Across from her, the officer shifts, adjusting his collar. Neither speaks, yet every silent second feels like a confession waiting to happen. The door creaks open, and she enters steady, unhurried. Each step carries history's weight, but her gaze stays calm. The officer's smirk fades, unsure now. Whispers hush like wind meeting stone. She says nothing, yet her silence speaks louder than outrage. Dignity stands taller than every badge staring her down. He stands tall, arms crossed, eyes cold. The badge gleams like armor, but his smirk carries threat. You think one stunt changes anything? He mutters. No one answers. The silence grows heavy. Behind his stare lies habit, not confidence, a man protected too long. For the first time, his power feels exposed, naked under public light. He leans forward, voice low but venomous. You really think the law is on your side? The question drips with practiced confidence. She doesn't flinch. I'm here for justice, not your approval. The words land like stone. A murmur ripples. His smirk falters. The silence afterward feels heavier than any verdict could be. The gavel sound fades, and in that hollow silence, memories return, harsh voices, laughter after slurs, papers stamped closed. She remembers nights spent writing complaints that no one read, faces that promised we'll look into it. The officer across the room had once smirked as reports vanished under his desk. Now every ignored plea echoes back, louder than his breathing. She doesn't move, but the truth does shifting, crawling out of history's corners. The courtroom isn't just watching a trial. It's reliving years of denial dressed as justice, and this time, silence feels like rebellion. A reporter whispers, "Is he really walking free again?" The question hangs, fragile but dangerous. Across the aisle, the internal affairs officer avoids her gaze, his pen stilling mid-note. No one answers, yet the silence grows thicker, shared by those who've seen this before. Eyes shift, small nods pass, unspoken unity forming in quiet rebellion. The officer on trial adjusts his tie, pretending calm, but the weight of watching stares cracks his posture. No outrage, no noise, just truth, settling in like a storm no one dares to name. He stood tall, pretending control. But his fingers tapped the table, eyes restless, confidence trembling beneath the surface. Across from him, she sat still, shoulders straight, hands folded, breathing steady. Her silence was louder than his authority. He smirked, tilting his head. You think you're above everyone here? The words came sharp, almost taunting. She looked at him, voice soft but unshaken. Above? I'm simply human. For a second, he forgot to breathe. The calm in her tone stripped away his arrogance. Narration lingered, her strength wasn't loud. It was years of quiet endurance finally standing tall. Power shifted. He slammed his hand on the table, the sound sharp enough to draw every eye. You think you can stand there and judge me? His voice cracked, louder than he meant. She didn't flinch, just met his glare with quiet steadiness. Whispers grew like a rising tide. One officer shifted back. Another looked away. You've done enough, she said softly. The room stilled. His jaw tightened. Sweat gathered at his temple. Narration cut through the silence. His arrogance had turned against him, every reckless move dragging him closer to his own undoing. Justice waited, patient and silent. The courtroom held its breath. Cameras clicked softly, each flash freezing a fragment of downfall. The cop's once confident posture began to waver. His shadow, stretched across the polished floor, seemed smaller now. Sweat slid down his temple, tracing a slow confession his mouth couldn't form. "You'll regret this," he muttered, but even he heard the crack in his voice. She stood, unmoving, eyes steady, voice unneeded. Her silence spoke louder than any verdict. Whispers rippled through the gallery, an invisible tide shifting loyalty and belief. The system that once protected him felt fragile, its armor dented by truth. A clerk swallowed hard, a juror looked away. The judge's gaze softened tiny fractures spreading through the machinery of bias. Narration lingered, low and quiet. Years of unchecked power shrinking in the light of quiet dignity. The officer's breath grew shallow. The weight of scrutiny pressed him down. One final camera flash caught him mid-blink, half man, half mask collapsing under its own arrogance. The air thickened, heavy with reckoning. Justice didn't roar that day. It stood still, watching him tremble, and the silence was absolute time slowed to a heartbeat. His hand jerked forward, rage blinding him, but she moved first, calm, precise, almost effortless. One sharp pivot, a clean motion, and his body met the floor with a dull thud. Gasps rippled through the courtroom. Chairs creaked, cameras clicked. No one spoke. She stood still, breathing steady, her gaze unwavering. It wasn't anger. It was control. He lay there, disbelief painted across his face, pride shattered in front of 100 silent witnesses. "You done?" she asked softly. No mockery, just finality. Narration followed the weight of the moment, his arrogance collapsing under the pressure of exposure, his authority bleeding out onto the cold tiles. A murmur stirred, spreading like a quiet wave of realization. This wasn't violence. It was consequence. Her silence screamed louder than any protest. The cop's jaw clenched, his hand trembled, but he didn't rise. In the still air, power shifted, calm, defeating fury, grace dismantling force. The cameras captured it all. Dignity standing over downfall. The world would call it justice, but in that suspended breath, it felt like truth reclaiming its space. The courtroom clears. Chairs scrape against the floor. He sits alone, uniform still pressed, but the weight of suspension drags him down. A colleague whispers, avoiding his gaze. "Never saw it coming," someone murmurs. He shifts, hands trembling slightly. Outside, she walks past, head held high, calm, measured steps. A reporter nods at her, silent respect in their eyes. Her presence alone carries justice, no words needed. He watches, powerless. Whispers follow him down the hall. Eyes flick toward her. The system, for a fleeting moment, feels exposed. Privilege crumbles quietly. She doesn't pause. The world sees dignity, restraint, and the unraveling of arrogance. He exhales, small and defeated. Nothing left to say. She sits on the worn wooden bench, phone in hand, scrolling through old photographs. Faces of colleagues, friends, moments of subtle injustice and overlooked pain flash before her eyes. Each image hums with memory, quiet resilience stitched between smiles and glances. Passing strangers nod, a silent acknowledgement of what they now recognize. The empty courtroom chair looms in her mind, a quiet monument to accountability. She whispers to herself, justice isn't loud. It's patient. And it sees all. Her words hang in the air, mingling with distant conversations. Even a shared clip online carries weight, dignity prevailing. Small gestures hint at change, subtle but undeniable.